The one usually seen in the Victorian markets, the weak-spined rock cod. The height of the body equals the length of the head, the upper surface of the flat head with some depressed spines around the orbit. The fourth and fifth dorsal spines are the largest, longer than those of the anal, and nearly half of the length of the head. Color, uniform brownish. The chirus. On the fish stalls in Victoria and San Francisco markets, the visitor may generally see lying side by side of the spiny rock cod, a handsome, shapely fish, about 18 inches in length. Its size, though somewhat rough, rival in beauty many a tropical flower. Clad in scales adorned with colors not only conspicuous of their brilliancy, but grouped and blended in a manner one only sees represented in the plumage of a bird, the wings of a butterfly, or the petals of an orchid. This ocean swell is known to the ichthyologist as Chirus, the teleperge, the Idiajuk of the Aleutian Islanders, the Pathlogest of the Vancouver Islanders. Quite as delicious to the palate as pleasant to the eye, the Chirus is altogether a most estimable fish. Its habit is to frequently rocky places, particularly where long ledges of rock are left bare at low water and sheltered at the same time from the surge of the sea in rough weather, where the Chirus loves to disport its gaily dressed person amidst the gardens of sea plants, for in these gardens dwell jellyfish, little tender crustaceans, soft-bodied chitons, crisp shrimps, and juicy annelids, all dainty viands, on which this gay lounger delights to regale himself. At low tide, when strolling over the slippery rocks that everywhere gird the eastern side of the Vancouver Island, in the larger rock pools, I was certain to see lots of these fish imprisoned. Having lingered imprudently at their feast, this indulgence constantly costs the idler his life. Gold, herons, shags, and also prowl over the rocks, well knowing what admirable preserves these aquariums are. Once spied out, it is of no avail to hide amidst the seaweeds or cover from the sheltering ledges draped with corallines. The large piercer-like beak follows, nips him across the back. A skillful jerk gets the head first, then down a lane he goes from which no Chirus ever returns. We might as reasonably attempt to describe the flushing, changing colors of the aurora borealis as seen in the high latitudes, or the phosphorescence of a tropical sea, or the wings of a diamond beetle, as to be hoped by word paintings to give the faintest conception of colorings that adorn the Chirus. Red, blue, orange, and green are so mingled that the only thing I can think of as a comparison is a floating flower bed. And even then, the gardener's art in grouping is but a bungle compared to nature's painting. There are three species of Chirus common along the islands and mainland coasts. The one usually sold is the six-lined Chirus, a spiny tentacle over each orbit, palatine fish none, two muciferous channels between the lateral line and the dorsal fins, scales ciliated, flatfish. In all the muddy estuaries on the sandy flats around Puget Sound, at the mouth of the Columbia and Fraser rivers, several species of flatfish are found in great abundance. These fish have formed an important article of food to all the sea fishing Indians, and since the influx of white settlers are caught for the supply of the Victoria and San Francisco markets, only the larger species are taken with hook and line. Smaller flounders being usually spread by Indians and a pleasant sight. It is too to watch for a little fleet of canoes, each one slowly paddled by a dusky squaw, gliding along the sandy shallows. The spearman in the bow prodding for the fish hidden in the mud and sand. The flounder thus distributed scuds along the bottom and stirs up the sand like a trail, marking its line of progress. The sharp-eyed savage notes the spot where the dirt line ends, paddles up to it, dashes in the spear, and quick as the thoughts, transfers the flat fish from its fancied hiding place to the bottom of the canoe. Immense numbers are taken in this manner every tide. The following are the species usually sold in the markets. The two-lined flatfish. The height of the body is a little less than one half of the entire length. The length of the head nearly 1/4, snout somewhat projecting, not continuous in direction with the descending profile of the nape. Eyes on the right side large, their diameter being 2/7 of the length of the head, separated by a strong prominent ridge which is partly covered with scales. Lower jaw prominence, a single even row of strong blunt teeth in each jaw, less developed on the colored side than on the blind. Scales very conspicuous. Those on the head and on the tail ciliated. Lateral line with a strong curve about the pectoral. A second series of pores commences about the eye and follows the dorsal profile to the vertical. From the opercular angle where it terminates, it communicates with a true lateral line by a branch. The dorsal fin rises over the anterior third of the orbit and terminates the distance from the caudal equal to the breadth of the eye. Anal spine prominence, pectoral fin half as long as the head. Color light grayish brown with lighter blotches. More abundant at San Francisco than at Vancouver Island and north of the Fraser. The two-lined flounder. The height of the body rather less than 1/3 of the entire length. The length of the head 2/9, and that of the caudal 2/13. Snout with the lower jaw prominent, equal in length to the diameter of the eye, which is nearly 1/5 of that of the head. Maxillary as long as the eye to the upper jaw with a series of 28 small truncated teeth on the blind side, those of the other side being very few in number and very small. Eyes separated by a very narrow, naked bony ridge, scaled small but conspicuous lateral line with a very slight dorsal curve above the pectoral. A second series of pores commences above the eye and follows the dorsal profile to the 26th dorsal ray, where it terminates. Dorsal and anal rays quite smooth. The dorsal commences above the anterior third of the orbit and terminates at a distance from the caudal, nearly equal to the depth of the portion of the tail. Anal spine prominent. The longest dorsal rays are somewhat behind the middle of the fin. Rather shorter than the pectoral as well, and half as long as the head. Uniform brownish length, 8 inches, and I obtained this new species of flounder in Mackenzie's Arm, a tidal inlet continuous with Victoria Harbor. The height of the body is somewhat more than 1/2 of the total length, with the caudal. The length of the head 1/4 and that of the caudal 1/5. The interorbital space is exceedingly narrow and raised, ridge-like snout, very blunt and short. Mouth small with the jaws even. The dorsal commences above the anterior part of the orbit and terminates at a short distance from the caudal. Its longest rays are on and behind the middle of the fin. Scales very small, cycloid. The lateral line is slightly arched above the pectoral. A similar series of pores runs from the upper eye, along with the base of the dorsal fin to about the middle of the length. There is a connecting branch between both lines to cross the orbital occipital region. Color grayish, densely blotted with black and white spots. Common at Vancouver Island and San Francisco.